Thank you, Mr. Hartman. Now we'll have opening remarks from Ms. Bruner.
Good afternoon. I want to thank the City Club for this wonderful opportunity, and thank you all for having the interest and using your time to be here today to hear about our race. I'm Jennifer Bruner, and I'm running for Secretary of State because I want people to trust their elections in Ohio, and quite frankly, we need to change the way Ken Blackwell's been running elections here for the past 8 years. I would have never thought, when I worked 20 years ago for then Secretary of State Sherrod Brown as a Deputy Director, handling legislation for the office and with the 88 county boards of elections, that any Secretary of State candidate would actually have to run on a platform where we talked about guaranteeing free, fair, open, and honest elections. What we have in Ohio is trust that's been diminished by the way the Secretary of State ran the last presidential election. And as much as my opponent and others may say the boards of elections run the elections, yes, they do, but there is a chief election officer who has the responsibility to provide uniform instructions, uniform guidelines, and directives to the boards of elections so that the people of the state of Ohio are treated equally when it comes to implementation of things like the new voter identification requirements and the mailing of cards and the purging of records and how a provisional ballot is to be voted and how it is to be counted. We have a Secretary of State in 2004 who did something that was unthinkable. He used the title and the office to campaign for State Issue 1 and to campaign for President Bush's reelection. He served as the co-chair of that campaign. And no matter how you feel about those issues or those candidates, the fundamental problem was that he was like an umpire who wore the jersey of one of the teams. And when people saw that and when people experienced problems in a record 72% turnout in the election, they began to doubt the process. And democracy is only as good as what people believe that it is. It's very fragile. And if they don't believe in it, they won't participate. And if they don't participate, we have a sick democracy that doesn't work for its people. There's a fundamental sense of fairness that goes along with democracy. And I come to you as a common pleas court judge who resigned her position last fall so that I could run for Secretary of State because I believe so much in protecting the integrity of our democracy, and the cornerstone of that democracy is voting. I looked at this and I gave it much deliberation. I received the wonderful support of my family, and in fact my son John is here with me today, and I've received the support of many wonderful people around the state. And in doing so, I looked at my experience in having worked for the Secretary of State and not just handling elections, but also handling corporate issues, computer contract negotiations, management issues, handling the budget in the state legislature, and contract issues with the state legislature through the state controlling board. I had practiced election law for 13 years, so I had represented local candidates all the way to presidential candidates. I'd represented legislative caucuses. When Lee Fisher ran for governor in 1998, I was his counsel throughout the entire election. I've represented citizens groups. I've represented trade associations. I've represented businesses who face ballot issues, whether it's local option or zoning referendum issues or initiative issues. And I've also served on the Franklin County Board of Elections, so I know what it's like to be a member of the Board of Elections and to be in charge of successfully running a local election. And I said, looking at what I saw in 2004, maybe there's something I could do here, and maybe there's something that I could offer. You see, when I served as a judge in common pleas court, I saw what one right-minded public official could do in bringing people together to solve problems to make the community better. I understood first and foremost it was my job to protect the community as a judge, but I also saw that when I had repeat offenders coming in with drug and mental health issues that weren't getting the kind of rehabilitation they needed in the Department of Rehabilitation and Correction, that it was time to start our county's first adult felony drug court. We started that court with 60 people from the community working on their lunch hours, who started the court with funding at half the amount that we were told the Department of Alcohol and Drug Addiction Services said we would need, and we helped people turn around their lives. People got jobs, people got their children back, people got houses, and people started giving back to the community. And so when I saw that perhaps maybe our democracy, our election system needed that same kind of help, I was willing to step up and do that, and I believe so strongly in this. And if you think about it, when a person leaves a position like that as a judge, it's a very safe position, also very good health insurance. And you know, I had to say to myself, well, what will happen if I lose? And of course, I had a life before I was a judge. I would have a life again, because as a public official, if you ever let the position define who you are, you have lost yourself and you have done a disservice to the people who you serve. So I'm in this for public service, and the things that I want to do for you as your next Secretary of State include working with the county boards of elections, giving them real leadership, giving them uniform directives, uniform instructions, creating ways to allow more people to serve as poll workers, such as working with the state legislature to seek the ability to have people serve much as jurors would, where we call them to service, but we say we only need you 3 days. We need you Friday, Monday, and Tuesday. You'll be trained right before the election so you can retain the information. And when you work election day, you can work an 8-hour day and not a 14-hour day. We'll still have presiding judges with much experience who are there serving, but we'll allow more people to serve in that way. Young people have been involved in Franklin County. 1,000 poll workers who are high school students have been recruited to serve as poll workers by Kids Voting. And Kids Voting has surveyed those young people after they serve, and they say that because of their service, they are more likely to be lifelong voters, and their family and friends in the sphere around them are more likely to participate as well. That's what we want. We want participation, because the best measure of democracy is participation. You will see a very careful review of the machines. You were fortunate that your county commissioners here in Cuyahoga County took the steps to hire the Election Science Institute to actually be there on Election Day in the May primary and look at the machines from top to bottom. They were not able to view the source code, so they were not able to get to the bottom of the problems that they experienced, where vote counts on the VPATs, the voter verified paper audit trail, didn't match the printed out results on those VPATs. And there's more that we need to do. We need to assure the voters of the state of Ohio that our voting system is safe, reliable, and trustworthy. I will do just that. I have many other ideas that deal with that improving and easing and streamlining business services, also with preventing identity theft, and also with creating a repository of information so that we understand the social health of the people of our state. I'll discuss those with you later, but I would like to, at this time, go ahead and allow Mr. Hartman to do a rebuttal. And thank you again for your participation today.